Hey guys, thought I'd just do a little short video out here. We're setting the greenhouse up for some winter growing, and pretty much done outside. The temperatures are highs in low 50s and freezing at night right now. So we want to kind of move our gardening activity into the greenhouse, and I brought some herbs in, and we got a few up through here, and I got my seed box out here and getting ready to plant a few things. We'll be growing lettuce, a couple varieties of lettuce, some spinach, kale, Swiss chard. Thinking about doing some sugar snap peas. Maybe I'll try to troll some up the back somewhere here. But I just want to show you a few things, some possibilities of some things you can do with a small greenhouse. Whether you have this is I think it's called a Paul Ram greenhouse. They're small. I mean, they make them bigger. This is a really small one, but I just want to show you the kind of the possibilities of a really small greenhouse. This is a 6x8 greenhouse. I mean, it's not a big greenhouse. I've got it lifted up a little bit on a little bit of a foundation that I made. But some things I've done to prep it for winter is I put up some bubble wrap on the north side, the top and side, because I want all the sun exposure I can get in the wintertime, so I kind of wanted to leave the south and ends open. But I did want to insulate it some because, we get pretty cold winters here. So I wanted to insulate it quite a bit. This will help a lot. Last few years, it's been really tough. I got a little electric heater in here, a little thermostat control heater. I use seed mats to get things germinating. And once they germinate, they generally go pretty good. I keep it 60-ish, 62 in here. And they do pretty good. All the cold hardy crops do really good at that temperature. And but we'll set some, we'll paint some milk jugs black, fill them full of water. That way we can get some heat sinks going in here for some passive solar activity. Things like that. We just do some simple things like that to grow some things in the wintertime. This year I expect it to be a little bit better, and I'm going to try to grow a little bit more this year than what I have in the past. I mean, it's just been herbs and lettuce and kale pretty much, maybe some spinach in the past, but I want to try to expand that and grow a little bit more and keep the rotation going a little bit more this winter. Try to grow a little bit more stuff here. But I just kind of wanted to show you some things I've done recently. The bubble wrap's one thing. I also wanted to set up to where I can get some rainwater in here versus using tap water. I live in the city and I don't really like using the tap water, but I actually have you can kind of see it here. There's a 5-gallon can down here, and I actually have these greenhouses actually have a little gutter system built into the sides where they have little drop downs, and I just hook some hoses to it, and there's a little hole back here in the corner of the greenhouse. I ran hoses in, and the rainwater will actually fill that, and melted snow and whatnot will actually fill that 5-gallon can up. It's got a little tap on it where I can open it up and get fresh rainwater to do the watering with. I also I've been filling jugs up with water out of the aquaponic systems, kind of nutrient rich and whatnot. All else fails, I'll use tap water for those things, but I try to collect as much of the rainwater and stuff as I can for in here, use it even through the winter. You can melt snow, whatever. I mean, try to keep some decent water. A couple different kinds of cans I have. When I'm using these trays, the trays that you set things down in, let's look for one that's in here. These kind of trays right here. This one's broke, but these kind of trays, and they'll hold the water. And I like to water from the bottom, and I'll use a can like this just to kind of fill in take a corner and kind of keep water in there, an inch or so of water in there. And then I have, and when you first start your seeds, I'll use a sprayer to kind of keep the tops watered until the seeds start germinating, and then you can kind of, once they get some roots going, you can bottom water, and then they'll do fine. And they actually do a lot better because you don't get algae buildup, which isn't really a huge problem in the wintertime anyway. I also have an over the top water can just for if I get some other things that I want to water from the top. I also will be growing some root vegetables in the very bottom. Here in the very bottom of the greenhouse, we have actual raised beds on each side, and I'm going to grow some carrots, and mostly carrots, maybe some beets, probably not. I'm probably just going to grow carrots down there this year. I use those in the summertime to grow tomatoes or peppers. This year I just grew all tomatoes in here, and I just yanked those out last week. So we're just now getting the greenhouse set up for wintertime, and I was getting tons of tomatoes. I just said, I got to start setting things up for wintertime. So it was time. I had to do what I had to do. So I yanked, and this thing was just completely filled to the top with tomatoes. But you can see, for a 6x8, I've got 3 tiers. I mean, I've got the raised beds in the bottom, I've got a middle shelf, I've got these top shelves on both sides back, a heater down here. I mean, I've hung a nice light in here, so I got really good light in all directions. It's a nice little greenhouse. I've ran good electricity out here, and so we can have the seed mats, the heater. You know, we got the water system now back here. It works really well, and you could do this. You don't have to have one like this. You could build a hoop house out of cattle panels. You could do anything small, and I just think a lot of people limit themselves and they think that they can't get this really big giant greenhouse. You can't grow a lot of food, but we grow a lot of food in here. Summer, winter, fall, spring, all year round, we're growing things in here. So you can do a lot with a little greenhouse. And, I'll just try to keep a rotation going. The hardest part is in the wintertime is getting the seeds to germinate. That's why I use the heat mats in the wintertime, just to kind of get those seeds going. Once they go and they start growing, the heat in the room in the greenhouse will grow them just fine. You just need a little help to get them to germinate. And if you don't have seed mats, it takes them a long time sometimes to really germinate. So with that helps get them going. And we'll get some flowers in here and things growing like that in the winter. And it really is nice just to come out here, spend a few minutes, every day, water everything, enjoy having some greenery around you, and picking a few things and going in the house and eating it in January. That's pretty cool. So it's just nice, even if you have a small yard in town with a garden and stuff like we do here, but to be able to step in here in the wintertime. When there's a foot of snow on the ground and you're eating fresh salads out of your greenhouse, it's pretty cool. So it's a great place to hang out. It's a great place to eat from, and it'll give you some good fresh food. I'm a big believer in preserving food, taking canning and dehydrating and freezing and all that, and having it all available year round. But nothing beats having a fresh salad in the middle of winter. So and whatever else, you can get some carrots. The kids like the carrots and some Swiss chard and things like that. Kale, which we still have kale and turnips. I'm looking at the two beds right there with kale and turnips in them right now, so we still have some things going outside, but that's going to end pretty soon. So wanted to get things set up in here. I got to get some things planted. This is my seed. I keep my seeds, and I keep them divided. Like I have tomato seeds, and I just have little packets of whatever in each thing here. That way I can get to my seeds pretty quick. And I don't keep this out here. I take this in the house, keep it in a good temperature. Stick it in a closet where it ain't getting too hot or too cold. You could refrigerate them, whatever. I mean, there's different things you can do with seeds to make them even last longer, but I use quite a bit, so we don't have to keep them long term generally. And I save seeds. I think that's about all I wanted to tell you about. To get something like that, bubble wrap works good for well, this is actually the first year I'm doing it. I bet I've seen a lot of folks talking about it on YouTube and such, about using bubble wrap. They generally use the bigger bubble wrap, but this is all I could really get here locally without ordering something. For insulating the greenhouse, just help out retain a little heat. Like I said, it's not going to do as good of a job if I wrap the whole thing, but I just want as much light coming in here as possible, because that's one of the challenges with wintertime is your stuff gets leggy because it doesn't get enough light. So I want as much light as possible coming in here. I washed all these windows and got everything really clear. So it's a really cloudy, rainy day today. So, of course, it ain't very bright in here. But I want as much light in the wintertime as I can get. That's why I didn't want to bubble wrap the entire thing. But this will help. I think just getting the very top here, coming down the side, and that side over there, I think it's really going to help retain a lot of heat. It'll keep, and I've kind of sealed up some cracks, and I put a little, just some things where some air would come in. I tried to seal that up this year and just take some precaution. But I think we're going to have a better year in the greenhouse this year than what we've even had in the past, just from some simple little setups. So hope you enjoyed watching this, and get out there and grow something, even if it's wintertime. Talk to you later.